Nevada senators, congressmen, and women wrote a letter to Governor Sisolak supporting the renaming of McCarran International Airport, and they want McCarran's statue representing Nevada in Washington, D.C. to be replaced. As News 3's Gabby Hart reports, local leaders say Patrick Anthony McCarran has a dark legacy of racism, anti-Semitism, and xenophobia.
Well, several Nevada politicians say they've been pushing for the renaming of McCarran International and to have that statue removed since 2017. But they say now with the current climate happening in our country and the movement that we've seen, they say the time to act is now.
The times have changed and we need to be sensitive to that.
In the last month, government officials nationwide have removed racially insensitive monuments and statues. Some protesters have even taken matters into their own hands, vandalizing or tearing them down. Now, several Nevada politicians are taking aim at the statue of Patrick Anthony McCarran. Congresswoman Dina Titus says while he did do some good for Nevadans,
but he also was a bigot, he was prejudiced, he went after Jewish people and immigrants.
Congresswoman Titus is one of 5 Democratic politicians representing Nevada that want to see McCarran's statue in Washington, D.C. removed. They sent a letter to Governor Sisolak requesting the matter be put on the agenda for the upcoming special legislative sessions.
The statues that people see when they come to the Capitol are supposed to represent the best the state has to offer. You could get somebody like Grant Sawyer for a statue in the Capitol. He desegregated Nevada, which was at one time called the Mississippi of the West.
The letter also showed support for the renaming of McCarran International Airport.
I think it should be named the Las Vegas International Airport.
To rename the airport, 4 out of 7 Clark County commissioners would have to vote to approve it.
We don't want our young kids growing up here with that name and that reputation.
Clark County Commissioner Tick Sagerbloom wants to get it done, and he says we could see a vote in about 6 months. He says the renaming would be paid for through private donations at no cost to the public.
What do you say to the people who say this is our history and let it stand?
Well, McCarran is history. There's no question about Adolf Hitler's history. There's lots of really bad people that are history, but you put them in museums.
Well, hello, welcome to my humble abode. Now, of course, all of the news department got a chance to do some broadcasting from their home, so it's the sports department's turn, and this is beautiful Studio B, as in Brian. It's not as nice as Jim or Reed's, but I guess I'll just have to make it go. And it's definitely not as nice as the digs that the Raiders have. How about this? The Raiders' new digs, their new headquarters in Henderson, and today was a very historic day as the Raiders brass began to move in to their new HQ. General Manager Mike Mayock and some of the coaching staff, they got a chance to get their stuff in there, got their temperatures checked, all masked up and ready to go. Now, the NHL is moving closer to Phase 3. However, 11 of their 200 players tested positive for COVID-19 during Phase 2. And they'll have that announcement of the hub city coming up later. And will that be affected by what happened during Phase 2? We don't know. But our Jesse Merrick has an update.
Yeah, you said it. That initial timeline doesn't look like it's going to hold true, but Sinbin's Ken Bulkey, among others, seem to think it'll come by the end of the week. And Ken tells me when that news does come down, it's something that Vegas-born fans are going to like.
It's starting to get pretty well locked in that it's going to be Vegas and probably one of the Canadian cities.
This comes on the heels of a report from TSN's Pierre LeBrun, who said the NHL has narrowed its list of potential hub cities from 10 to 6. And Vegas aside, the Canadian cities still in the mix are Toronto, Edmonton, and Vancouver.
From what I understand, it's likely that either Vancouver or Edmonton is going to be the other hub city, and thus one of the two teams is going to have to play at their home city. Vegas has the highest record of those teams, of those options, so therefore Vegas would be the one that would get to play at home. That's the way I understand it.
And it's not just the feeling he's getting either.
I have players that have said, we got word we're playing in Vegas.
Which seems to indicate the NHL, which early on said they didn't like the idea of a team playing in their own hub city, has had a change of heart.
There's also the idea of, like, if they go to Toronto or if they go to, say, Chicago or whatever, the guys do not want to be that far away from their families that they're a 4 or 5 hour flight away. They'd rather be closer. That may end up playing into Vegas's favor as well. I do think they are going to end up playing here. The Golden Knights will play in Vegas. That's what I expect.
And hey, fans or not, Vegas-born faithful, gotta love the sound of that. For News 3 Sports, I'm Jesse Merrick.
All right, Jesse, thank you very much. Now, to a serious note, NASCAR's only black driver, Bubba Wallace, in the number 43 car, he made a statement last week by having a nice paint scheme. Black Lives Matter was a paint scheme that he had last week. And he also urged NASCAR to get rid of the Confederate flags on all their properties, and NASCAR, they obliged. A wonderful gesture to get involved in today's social climate. Now, Wallace also, like I said, he got the divisive Confederate flag out of there, and then the backlash happened. Most notably at Sunday's race in Talladega, when fans outside the track had many Confederate flags, even a plane above flying with a flag banner that said defund NASCAR. Now that's all not great, but what was inside was much, much worse. Someone left a noose inside of Wallace's garage. Now, Wallace responded with a social media post, talked about how despicable that act was and just how we must persist to get rid of racism. Then today, NASCAR drivers showed their overwhelming support for Bubba. Look at the show of solidarity. Just a really touching moment. I stand with Bubba. It was crazy emotional. It got to Bubba, but not before he took some very moving video that will stand with him for a very long time. And folks, we're going to go ahead and end this thing on a happy note, especially for a guy like myself. Bryce Harper and his wife announced today that they're expecting a gain, and Bryce will become a girl dad.
All right, what a day it was at the DMV. After everything you experienced out there, we can tell you the DMV is expected to be back in business tomorrow. Today, a computer system outage shut down offices all across the state. News 3's Kyle Wilcox spoke with the local DMV spokesperson about what caused the problem.
Today was the first day certain DMV offices like this one here in Henderson started taking appointments since reopening last Monday. However, a system-wide outage caused most appointments to be erased. The DMV reopened today with limited services on a first-come, first-served basis, resulting in long lines. It then brought back appointments at metropolitan offices starting today, only to be interrupted by a large system failure.
We had an internet outage due to a cable cut in the Las Vegas area that lasted most of today. It was before we opened.
All transactions and online appointment bookings were canceled except for driving tests. Customers with appointments who were unaware of the system problem were turned away. Some told us off camera they're frustrated with the DMV's reopening process. Kevin Malone with the DMV says he understands their anger.
Well, we sympathize with everyone who's been out here in line, and we're dealing with this just like everyone else is. We've never been closed for 3 months before, and we're going to keep changing it, fine-tuning it, and make the offices work the best we can.
The system issue has been solved, and DMV offices will be open with regular business hours on Tuesday. Those who had appointments canceled will be called to reschedule. In Henderson, Kyle Wilcox, News 3.